It's that time of the year where everyone's packages are being stolen off their porches and porch pirates are in full swing. Today I want to talk about security cameras and what you can do to either reduce the likelihood that this happens to you or to be able to catch the person if they are to steal your packages. So if you don't know, I've been a security specialist for the better half of 2 decades now, primarily a physical security specialist, and cameras are my jam. So mostly like CCTV, or we're now calling IPVSS, which is your IP video surveillance systems. Now, not saying that you need this crazy commercial system for your property, but I think it's time that we take a step back and look at the types of cameras that are mass marketed. So, Ring cameras, Arlo cameras, Eufy cameras, Simply Safe, they're all okay, but they're okay if you want to watch your dog during the day, right? The camera quality is good enough for that. But when an actual crime takes place, I get pictures like this one here of this guy who's stealing, not just packages off of people's porches, but their actual Christmas decorations. Then you have to ask yourself, what do you actually want your camera system for? Do you just want to be able to talk to people through your doorbell? Or do you want to have some peace of mind that if something were to happen, that person won't go scot-free? So there are 3 things that I recommend when you are purchasing security cameras. And I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of all of this stuff. I will leave a link in the video description for a more comprehensive article on all of the details that I recommend. And at the end of this video, I'll tell you what company I recommend if you're going to be purchasing security cameras, especially during Black Friday and this holiday season. Snag some of those deals. First, nighttime video counts. A lot of these porch pirates, yes, they do steal stuff during the day while you're at work, but a lot of this happens at night, especially since Amazon's delivering packages after 10 p.m. and now they have their 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. delivery service. A lot of times these packages are going to sit on your property. They're going to sit on your porch in front of your door, and they may or may not be visible from the street. But if they were to get stolen, do you have usable footage, right? A lot of times these cameras, the infrared capability sucks and the faces are blown out, meaning I can kind of make out the general description of this individual, but their face is haloed out. Like there's no features. I can't identify who this person is. And sometimes because of that, there's nothing police can do but document it so you can submit the police report to your insurance agency. So you want to make sure that the camera you're purchasing doesn't just have like a night mode. Look at the actual infrared capabilities, right? Look at what the company has on their website for night mode or their night vision. Can you make out these discernible features? Ask yourself, if you were to submit this to the police, could they identify who that person is? Also keep in mind that a lot of the marketing footage is going to show ideal conditions. Ask yourself, is it pitch black on your street at night? So the light coming from your house or from the cameras is going to cause the blowout of the individual's face, or is the backlit, or is the street lit? And that also taps into dynamic range a little bit. And number 2 is kind of that next point is you don't want to just prioritize these fancy resolutions like 4K and 8K. You're also looking for sharpness, and that's that dynamic range. You want to minimize motion blur. So if this person's walking up your driveway or whatever, you want to be able to make out their features. A lot of times cameras will say 4K, but it's 4K at like 2 feet and everything else is just a blur. So you want to keep that in mind. And where does the usable footage start? I recommend that the usable footage starts at the edge of your property. I need to be able to zoom in and be able to make out some distinguishing features of that individual. This is normally referred to as pixels per frame, or PPF. So you want to make sure you have a high PPF. A forensic level PPF is sometimes around like 20 pixels per frame. So usually forensic level quality image is going to be about 4 megapixels at 20 feet or whatever it is to the edge of your property. If you have a huge property, then just ask yourself, like, what's a good distance that you want to be able to not just detect somebody, but be able to capture usable footage. And then the third thing I recommend is always going to be camera placement. Back in the day when my security company used to do home installations, I didn't just listen to the homeowner, right? The homeowner says, I want a camera right here. And I would say, okay, let's take a second. Let's look. What's the likelihood that someone's just going to walk up your driveway and steal something from you? Is there the possibility that they hop over your fence or you on a corner lot? What is even the crime rate of your area? Is that even likely? So you want to make sure that you are putting your camera in a place that makes sense. I always recommend that you put it in an area where, one, it can't be manipulated, and no matter where an individual comes from, they're going to be recorded to some extent. And then there's also the angle, right? There's going to be blind spots when you're buying off-the-shelf cameras. So ask yourself, where's the blind spot that makes the most sense? If it's right up under the camera, that's okay, because you're going to capture that person all the way up until they get to that blind spot. And maybe that blind spot, maybe you position the camera so the blind spot is in an area that there's nothing there, right? So you don't have to worry about if this person stays in that blind spot that they're doing anything nefarious. Maybe it's just that you just can't see them. Maybe they're sitting there. So let's get into what I recommend. Now, there are a few recommendations that I would make, not knowing your property, your area, or anything about your situation. And some of the other factors that I keep in mind is, the life cycle. So a lot of these off-the-shelf cameras, you can only get a couple of years out of them before they really start to shit the bed.
He's really shit the bed on this one, mate.
So that's why I recommend Ubiquiti. The Ubiquiti camera ecosystem, I think, is some of the best. These cameras have a 5+ year life cycle. So this camera is going to operate the same way it operated the day you bought it 5 years from now. Yes, there is some upfront cost because you have to buy kind of like the infrastructure, and a lot of their cameras are wired. They do have wireless cameras, but most of them are going to be wired. So there is the possibility that you have to have somebody install this for you. I installed their system on my house myself. Granted, I have that background, but there are a ton of videos out there, YouTube videos out there of IT folks and security folks installing Ubiquiti cameras, and they get down to the nitty-gritty, and I highly recommend that you check them out if you want to install these at your house. I mean, maybe you just start off buying one Ubiquiti camera just to get used to it and put it somewhere that's worth it, like in front of your house or on your porch or something like that. Another thing to keep in mind, not in the video with this, people are stealing packages knowing you have security cameras. Everybody has a security camera or a Ring doorbell or something like that. And they know that. The picture I showed you of this guy, he's very obviously aware that there's a camera, but he doesn't care. Why? Because the police aren't going to do anything. What I can't make out what this guy is. He's a nondescript white dude. Maybe, right? I don't know what he is. Just a nondescript male ?
Is that a man or a woman, Angel, Mr. Wilson?
So there's not a ton of usable footage that's going to come from any of these other cameras.